Thanks so much for that update, Charlie Pellet. It's the stuff of fantasies, Carol.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, you quit your corporate job in London.
Okay.
You move to the south of France with your 3 kids, your wife. You make rosé.
It sounds magical.
It does. Well, it wasn't a fantasy for Stephen Cronk, the founder and CEO of Maison Mirabeau. He and his wife did exactly that. It was 16 years ago?
It was, yeah.
Wow. At the height of the global financial crisis.
Talk about timing.
Stephen's with us right now here in the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio, and he brought rosé. First of all, it's been a little while since we last spoke to you.
Is it like
it's
2 years?
Yeah.
It has,
Yeah.
yes.
How's business been since then?
It's an interesting question. It's been up and down, I would say. I mean, I think Provence rosé is still the benchmark for rosé around the world, so we're very lucky we've got that. But there've been a lot of headwinds, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, is it? Look, there's the climate change headwind, but there's also the changing consumer tastes headwinds, as well as tariffs.
Exactly.
Which is the thing that is the biggest headwind?
They all combine together. This is the perfect storm. So there's the health kick, there's the cannabis movement, there's the no and low alcohol movement, there's the Ozempic movement, because that suppresses people's desire to have a drink. So it's like everything. And then you load on top of that the tariffs. It's like, yeah, what has happened?
So what does that mean for you guys? Like, how do you pivot? How do you adjust around that?
Well, there's a lot of things we can't change, but what we try and do is with the tariffs, for example, we've tried to swallow as much as we can. We don't want Mirabeau to be much more expensive in the store, so we've tried to swallow that. And
That's
also,
hard.
It's hard, but we're keeping our fingers crossed that maybe this is going to change.
Remind everybody the price range.
It's
in the United States, so you don't want the price to go up in the U.S. So what would people find
so we're
at now?
generally between $20 and $30.
Okay.
And we want to try and keep below $30 because that's the price point.
So then, how does that hit your margins?
Yeah, it's not great, but I'd rather build a brand, and I'd rather people carry on drinking Mirabeau, especially we're coming out of Thanksgiving, and Provence rosé is just so good with turkey. So I'm just trying to hope this goes away and just carry on pushing my wines here.
Yeah, well, and I've said I wasn't a big rosé drinker, but I've got to say yours is pretty magical, and I've really enjoyed it. And we're going to taste it. I know Tim is sniffing it out. You're in the United States. Talk to us about the U.S. market specifically.
So I've started farming regeneratively for some of my wines.
Right.
And the regenerative movement seems to be centered mainly around California now.
Yeah.
So, I'm selling my wines in 40 countries, but California is the epicenter of the regenerative movement. The California Department of Food and Agriculture has been the first state to define the words regenerative agriculture. And meanwhile, we've got the wine regions there, so Paso Robles, Napa, Sonoma. They are the most regenerative wine areas in the world.
So what does that mean for
one of San Luis Obispo County?
I know where Tim is from. I know.
Paso Robles.
But what does that mean? That would you do more here in the United States? Or
I'm just trying to sell more wine here.
You're just trying to sell more.
And so the retailers, so like Airone and Sprouts and Bristol Farms and Hagen's, they're really getting behind the regenerative movement. They're looking to seek out regeneratively farmed products.
Because there's an awareness of it, right? And
because they know what it means for farmers. They know what it means for people too.
Not everybody knows what regenerative farming means, and especially how that is applied to farming the grapes that go into wine, that go into rosé. So for people who don't know what it is, explain regenerative farming in the context of viniculture.
So regenerative, as the name suggests, is about regenerating soil fertility and regenerating nature, in simple terms. So it's the opposite. I mean, if you think about it, what was organic farming called before the First World War?
Farming?
Right.
Well
but then there was a huge amount of pressure. Everyone was super worried about industrial farming.
Right.
So the heavy tillage and in particular heavy use of chemicals. So there's been a move. I mean certainly since the First World War and the Second World War as well, we've seen a lot of nitrogen being used in farms, a lot of heavy tillage, a lot of chemicals, pesticides, and so on. And that's just been killing our soils. And this is a catastrophe. We were worried about famine at the end of the Second World War. So rightfully we were worried about feeding our population. But we haven't been measuring food in the right values. We've been measuring by calories rather than nutrient density.
So I didn't mean to interrupt, but it was just interesting. We just came off a discussion of talking about the cost of meat and just what's going on in that world. But I do think about, like, is our soil globally, how tortured is it, or how bad is it because of the industrial farming?
A lot of it, most of it, I would say, is on life support. It's really, it's catastrophic.
So
I was going to say, when I drive up from LA to Paso Robles, which is one of the most regenerative regions in wine, up the I-5, and you see thousands of acres of fruit trees and nut trees that are on life support. It's like the moon's surface. And so they're kept alive by these external inputs. And what you end up with a product, but they're not very tasty and they're not very nutritionally dense.
Right.
So we need to actually start restoring soil health globally, and regenerative is a way of doing that.
So you can do that in terms of all that soil. How long
Right.
does it take, the process of getting it back?
It can happen quite quickly.
Okay.
And that's one reason why I run a non-profit as well called
Right.
the Regenerative Viticulture Foundation. So viticulture is agriculture for vines. And we're launching these initiatives called one block challenges. So we did one in Paso, we're doing one in Napa, Opus One, in fact, a great winery.
Also
in
a nice
Napa.
wine.
Also a very nice wine.
And winery.
So we're doing one there on the 18th of November, and we're challenging the growers in Napa, and as we did in Paso, to just transition one block of their vineyard to regen for a year,
Yeah.
and then to come back and see the difference. It's incredible how generous Mother Nature is coming back.
You said you've driven up California on the 5, but if you go a little west, you could drive up on Highway 1 or the 101 and then go on San Marcos Pass through Los Olivos, where there is a lot of agriculture and a lot of vineyards as well. Is the movement expanding throughout the state of California and beyond the state of California?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the point of my non-profit, is to really encourage farmers, give them the reasons to do it. Everything around regen, as far as we're concerned, is using science. So, if we can rebuild soils and rebuild the soil organic matter, rebuild soil carbon, then you end up with much better tasting wines. But also you see nature coming back. And Mother Nature owes us no favors, but she'll come back. But you've got to create that right environment, wean yourself off the synthetics and get yourself back into natural.
It's kind of, I always think about, Stephen, what happened during the pandemic, and the skies got bluer and the animals
Right.
came out and quickly. And it's just a reminder when we see the impact of climate change and it feels so devastating, it feels like there's no way back. I always go back to the pandemic and
a
how
really
the
good
world
point.
seemed so much better. So we can do better. How expensive is it to do regenerative farming and the ROI on something like that, the return on investment?
Well, we're working a little bit with UC Davis, and we're working with other growers to see the data points coming out of it. Because basically we think, and certainly I'm evidenced on my farm, is once you've made that transition, your input costs drop. So you're not buying as many external inputs,
Right.
fewer tractor passes, you're letting nature kind of get everything back into balance. So we think actually costs will be more or less the same as they are with regular farming.
All right, so we're talking with Stephen Cronk. He's founder and chief executive officer of Maison Mirabeau. He's here in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. So that leads us to your product.
Right.
There's 3 bottles that I'm looking at in front of me, and there's one that we know we've opened up. Tell me what we're going to sample here.
So this is One Day by Mirabeau.
Is this new?
This is new.
I thought so.
This is why I'm here. So
Yeah.
this is
I know
is
the
new.
bottles,
So
that's
so
why.
so Mirabeau. So we're the first certified regenerative organic winery in France.
Tim and I are competing for the bottles
I know
already.
which bottle I'm taking home.
Okay. Well, this is
No, no.
So One Day by Mirabeau. We call it One Day because one day all vineyards will be farmed like this.
Oh, I love that.
And it's the first regenerative certified wine to come out of France, to come out of Provence. And it's something that we're really, really proud of because, rather like our estate wine, which is also the first certified regenerative organic wine, this is us certifying our growers. So we have to make this work at scale.
Right.
You can't just have little niche boutique wineries enjoying the benefits of regen.
And it can be done at scale.
It can be done at scale. And my growers in Provence are just absolutely crazy about getting involved. Because organic is, I would say, flat growth.
Right.
But a lot of basic organic isn't good for soil.
Yeah.
So we have to use copper.
Why is that?
So
That makes me nervous because I think there's an assumption.
well, so organic is the best kind of farming you can do when
Yeah.
you're doing it properly, when you're doing it regeneratively. So regenerative organic is the gold standard.
Okay.
But if you are a lot of organic farms, certainly in the wine world, can still be monocultures. So you don't want any weeds in the vineyard. You want it to look immaculate. So if the weeds come in, then plow them away.
Yeah.
But actually, that's wrong. You need to let nature into the vineyard. You can't have these monocultures. It's funny. I was with somebody the other day, and they were saying, "Yeah, my husband's a real germaphobe, and he's sanitizing his hands, and everything is just so
I
immaculate."
do not. I know this one over
And-
here. I
and
do not do
said-
that.
I said, "Okay, tell me, how often does he get sick?" And she said, "All the time."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we need to rummage around in the dirt. We need to have those bugs, and we need to be healthy and build our resilience. And that's what regenerative does.
Yeah.
Monoculture is the same thing as sanitizing a farm.
Well, I will say with kids, they say introduce pets and dogs. It's a
Right.
good thing for them to be around
Go play in
germs
the
and
dirt.
stuff.
Yeah.
We
I
have
don't know
to-
if they mean
we
New York.
ha-
I don't know if they mean New York City when they say that.
We need to toast before we. So,
Cheers.
Stephen, I just want to try
Cheers,
this.
Stephen.
Cheers.
Sample. Cheers.
Thanks for having me in.
Carol's drinking the wine as we speak.
That's what it's for.
The rosé.
That's nice. So this is the one day.
This is one day, yeah.
And rosé, I mean, it varies, right? Like
It varies, but the good thing about Provence rosé is
nice.
it's always dry. So because you can get some rosés that are quite high in residual sugar, and that's not very food friendly and also not very healthy. But Provence rosé is always bone dry.
So I always associate rosé with warm weather in the summer, but you argue that it's the perfect thing to drink at Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
Why is that?
Because it's just such a food versatile wine.
It's
so
great.
It's got a little bit of acidity that cuts through the sort of the sweet flavors of the cranberry sauce, but it cuts through the gravy. It's just a refreshing mouthfeel once you've had a great big fork of potato or something.
I'm ready for the holidays now.
You're ready to go to the south of France.
Who isn't?
Come down, meet the broadcaster there.
I know. I keep thinking about it. I keep trying to nudge my crew here.
We're supposed to go to Boston next week, but how's the week after?
Boston is not the south of France.
Yeah,
I mean, I love
that
you,
one
Boston,
next
but I'm
week
just
for-
saying. Stephen, be well, be well. Stay in touch. Love to hear about your journey and
Thank
what's
you.
going on. Stephen Cronk, he's founder and chief executive officer of Maison. Mirabeau joining us in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker studio. Cheers, everybody. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, coming up next on Bloomberg Business Week Daily, the FOIA files. How do you do that during a government shutdown? That's next.